In the vast, dark depths of the ocean, experienced diver Carter made a discovery that would haunt him for years to come. During a routine dive, he came across the eerie sight of a sunken submarine, its rusted hull a stark contrast against the deep blue sea. Compelled by a mix of fear and curiosity, Carter decided to investigate further, swimming into the ghostly remains of the vessel. But before we start our story, smash the like button, make sure to subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you won't miss any new stories. As he navigated the cramped, shadowy corridors, what he found inside turned his blood cold. Getting in there surely was no easy feat. He had to make sure to take every safety precaution there was. Because of that, he constantly checked the oxygen and pressure levels surrounding him. Furthermore, he needed to be certain that the submarine was sturdy and wouldn't suddenly start moving because of the current. The only way this would be possible would be because of the hole in the hull. As he had originally thought, the hatch opened without too much hassle. The weightlessness from being underwater really helped Carter out in that regard. The final air bubbles seemed to escape the old submarine as they rushed past Carter's face. He felt like he was about to enter something dark and ominous, but pushed for himself to continue without knowing what he was getting into. He took a deep breath, trying to calm his nerves. Ensuring that his oxygen intake was normal. Opening the hatch, he had been holding his breath, and when being underwater, holding one's breath was never a good idea. He had slowly gone in, using his flashlight to get a better grip on what he saw, as he would soon get the scare of his life. Carter had never been inside a submarine before, so going inside one completely submerged was especially daunting. He had driven inside a shipwreck before, but that wasn't as narrow as this. As he went in, he could see coral and various fishes who had made their way in through the rupture in the hull. Cautiously, he swam further, ensuring not to touch too much. He had no idea it could uncover the submarine's secrets and why it sunk. There was a lot of machinery, and he noticed a small light protruding from the darkness. It seemed like the sonar system was still functioning, even if the submarine seemed frozen in time. It showed coordinates, and it seemed to be another puzzle piece of the enigma that was this submarine. Was this little light and dot still something that was there, or a shadow of the past? Carter knew he had to find out. Carter was sure to take pictures of the control room and the sonar system. If he didn't, no one would believe him. He looked around, seeing what could tell him more about the submarine's voyage. He was looking for a black box, unsure if these types of things had them. Then he suddenly got a reminder. Looking at the barometer of his tank, he noticed he was no longer in the white. Hell, he was almost no longer in the yellow, the color in which he decided to go back up. He didn't have that much oxygen left. And with the time he needed to have decompression stops, he would only have minutes to spare. He was running out of oxygen, but he pushed his stress aside, knowing he was almost back to the boat. When he was, he would know exactly what to do. It wasn't too long before Carter broke the water. Getting on his boat, he spat out his regulator, taking in a fresh breath. As soon as he was on the boat, his best friend Matthew nearly ran toward him. Matthew looked at his watch and had a look of bewilderment on his face. "What the fuck, dude? You were under for so long!" Carter knew he had been under for way too long, especially since he could see the depths that he had gone to. "I'm fine, Matt. I made sure to decompress on the way up." Carter gave him a smile, and Matthew raised his eyebrow in reply. "Did you find what you were looking for?" Carter looked at his friend. "No, but I found something way better." Carter started to talk about what he had seen. It hadn't been the reason why he had gone down so far under the water, but he had been glad that he had stumbled upon the submarine, especially with the strange light shown on the sonar system. Telling Matthew, his friend's eyes widened. This was certainly a find. However, Carter knew that he couldn't just go down again and research this by himself. He didn't even know if anyone knew about this thing being grounded so far beneath the surface. After taking off his scuba suit and taking a breather, he was quick to make the call to the Coast Guard. Shortly after contacting the Coast Guard, Carter received a return call. The voice on the other end was laced with a mix of skepticism and intrigue. "We're sending a team to your location," the officer said. "Your discovery could be significant." Carter's heart raced with excitement and a hint of apprehension. Within hours, Carter watched as a Coast Guard vessel approached, followed by a smaller boat filled with equipment. A team of diverse experts disembarked, marine biologists, archaeologists, and seasoned divers, each carrying an air of determination and curiosity. Carter was introduced to them, his first-hand experience with the submarine making him an invaluable member of this impromptu team. He felt a sense of pride and responsibility, ready to guide them into the depths that held the mysterious submarine. On board the Coast Guard vessel, the team gathered for their first briefing. Maps were spread out, and Carter recounted his discovery in detail. As the meeting progressed, Carter shared his observations of the submarine's structure, the breach in its hull, and the interior corridors he had swum through. The team wrapped up their meeting with a plan of action. Equipment checks were conducted, dive plans were finalized, and safety measures were reiterated. Carter felt a rush of anticipation. This dive would be different from any he had undertaken before. In the high-tech lab of the Coast Guard vessel, the team huddled around the sonar data Carter had provided. The blips and pings on the screen were alien to Carter, but held a world of meaning to the experts. "There's something else down there," one of the sonar analysts murmured, pointing to an irregularity on the screen. The team's curiosity was piqued. This wasn't just a routine recovery of a sunken submarine anymore. It was a deeper mystery calling to them from the ocean's depths. Around the crowded table, theories began to fly. An archaeologist speculated about historic shipwrecks that might have gone down in the area. A marine biologist suggested it could be a large, uncharted undersea formation or a congregation of marine life. Carter listened, fascinated by the possibilities but aware that only a return to the depths would provide answers. Utilizing advanced mapping technology, the team began outlining the terrain around the submarine. The ocean floor revealed a rugged, untouched landscape. Carter was awestruck by how the technology transformed their understanding into a precise topographic map. The team agreed they needed to investigate further. They turned to the archives. The submarine was a World War II-era vessel, long missing under mysterious conditions. Documents hinted at covert operations, though much remained classified. Back in mission control, the team reviewed safety protocols. The depth, pressure, and submarine structure posed significant risks. Every possible hazard was analyzed, and the crew equipped accordingly. In the final strategy meeting, they split into two teams, one for assessing structural integrity, another by Carter for interior exploration. On the day of the dive, tension ran high. Equipment was checked and rechecked. Carter, both nervous and eager, knew this dive might redefine their understanding of the deep sea. With a final nod, the team descended. At the hull, the team split. Carter's group entered through a twisted openings. Inside, the corridors were a labyrinth of corroded steel and shadows. As they moved deeper, the structure groaned. A collapsed bulkhead blocked one path, forcing them to detour. The decaying submarine had become a maze, every turn requiring vigilance. Further in, Carter noticed a door unlike the rest secure and strangely intact. He signaled for the others. This sealed room was isolated, clearly protected even in the submarine's final moments. Why? Using specialized tools, they worked carefully to pry it open. With a final creak, the door gave way, revealing a room untouched by decay. The air inside was stale. Their light swept through the chamber, revealing secrets long hidden from the world sealed away in this silent, submerged crypt. Inside the room, the walls were lined with maps and documents, all remarkably preserved. Carter and the team examined them carefully, discovering logs and charts hinting at a covert operation. The maps outlined unusual routes, and the documents included coded messages and orders. It became evident that this submarine had been on a classified mission, hidden from official war records. The sealed room, deliberately protected, implied that whatever the crew carried was of significant importance and risk. Back on the surface, the salvaged documents were laid out under bright lab lights. Each item was documented and analyzed. Many of the documents were encrypted, written in codes meant for a select audience. A cryptologist joined the effort, gradually translating the entries. As the codes were broken, details emerged that painted a clearer picture of the submarine's mission. One key log entry referenced coordinates that matched the sonar signal Carter had initially detected. This suggested the submarine had been tracking something or was en route to a specific destination before it disappeared. The team quickly agreed to investigate the location marked in the decoded coordinates. Preparation for the new dive began immediately. The scope of the mission expanded. They weren't just exploring a wreck, they were investigating a site that could reshape historical understanding. On the day of the dive, the team assembled for one final check. Equipment was inspected and procedures rehearsed. Carter, filled with anticipation, knew this moment marked the culmination of weeks of intense effort. The vessel set off toward the coordinates, the team ready for what lay ahead. "There it is," the operator said, eyes fixed on the screen. Carter leaned in, heart pounding. The shadow was large, too structured to be a natural formation. It was undoubtedly man-made, a silent relic resting in the deep. The team prepared to dive, their hearts racing with the possibility of what lay below. Descending into the depths, the team moved toward the shadow. As the team regrouped near the site, the outline of the wreck emerged. It was clearly a ship, but unlike any they had seen. Leading the exploration, Carter approached the second wreck with caution and reverence. The vessel's structure hinted at a specialized naval ship. Despite the decay, its significance was unmistakable. Each passage they swam through was filled with echoes of the past. Inside, the team discovered sealed containers. Inside were documents many military in nature. References to covert missions and encrypted communications emerged, with some files suggesting a secret operation that might be linked to the submarine's final voyage. As the team pieced together the data, timelines began to align. The documents matched the submarine's last communication dates. Carter theorized that the submarine may have been tracking this ship or had been assigned to rendezvous with it before both vessels met a tragic end. On deck, the items were arranged and documented. Each artifact added clarity to a long-lost narrative. The ship's logs revealed patterns of covert activity and operations absent from public archives. A breakthrough came when sonar logs from the submarine aligned with data from the ship's records. It appeared the submarine had been monitoring the ship's path or approaching for a planned meeting. The matching coordinates suggested a direct mission link between the two vessels. This discovery provided deeper insight into the submarine's role, far more complex than previously believed. The evidence suggested clandestine wartime strategies and undisclosed missions, expanding the historical understanding of naval operations during the era. As the findings accumulated, it became clear that their discoveries challenged accepted narratives. The wrecks told a story of secrecy and sacrifice, rewriting parts of naval history once thought complete. In the quiet aftermath of the mission, Carter reflected on the extraordinary journey. What began as a routine investigation had uncovered forgotten truths. He thought of the crews who had never returned and the mission that had remained hidden for decades. Carter felt a deep connection to the past and a responsibility to honor those stories. The ocean had kept its secrets, but now, through this mission, they had finally surfaced and they would not be forgotten.